quite different. The background to this was before SIAH, but I think maybe the first moment that WSA and School of Humanities came together around research in the new reform faculty was a big, I can't remember what the acronyms are now, but it was a very multi-million pound scheme called Creative Clusters, looking at university consortia that would work with their region or university or creative sector. And we did some really interesting work on that, a lot of work into it, ultimately unsuccessful. Before I started Southampton, I worked in Bristol for a long time, and Bristol hoovers up these sorts of bits. They've got a very strong sense of a region, a set of creative industries and digital industries there that they can just kind of click their fingers, put into bits and clean up. What we found through this was actually kind of, not only was there not a lot of intelligence within the university about the creative sector in the area, we also didn't, it's hard to know what we actually meant by the creative sector, the digital creative sector, and actually what the region was. So we talked about South Central, but that comes from some conversations. But if you're looking at, for this project, we were looking at sort of Chichester, Portsmouth in the west, Poole, to the east, Poole to the west, Winchester, and then the Isle of Wight. So we have this sort of lozenge-shaped area that some people see themselves as being a coastal area, others don't. Some see themselves as being very much part of Bournemouth, others Southampton. There's different counties, so it's not a coherent sense of identity of place. And then we also look at the digital creative sector. There's all sorts of questions there about what we've done. So I worked with, we had a consortium of local universities called Coastal Creative. And so with a colleague from the University of Portsmouth who'd done some work in this area, we thought we'd do some research into the region and the digital creative sector within that. There's a lot of data gathering and analysis, which I won't bore you with, but we had, again, some amazing research assistants, Ravi and Vanny, who work for Google, so use Google Analytics to gather scrape lots of data from about companies in the area that we might call bracket within the digital creative sector. So that's everything from kind of individual web designers, post-production houses. We sort of included photography firms or architecture firms if there was a strong kind of digital component to their work. These were then pinned into Google Maps as a fully searchable online database. So this is what it looks like. You click on all these pins, this is the kind of information you get based on them. So if anyone's interested, I can go to rather than a lot of work on the kind of data gathered, the Google Map, you can go and follow that link there. If anyone's interested, I can email it to you, and you can have a look at that. This is now a few years out of date. This is at the end of the pandemic, so exactly what's happened, how many of these companies are still in existence, or how many new ones have popped up. We haven't had done kind of follow-up on research. The idea of this was to feed into future big industry-related bids, coming out of the government's industrial strategy, of which there's been a lot of things around since then. So I think hopefully, if something interesting does come up, it won't be a huge amount of work to revisit this, the methodologies and the structures. As part of this, we also did a questionnaire, finding out what kind of people who identified themselves within the digital creative industry, how big their company was, what their We got about 100 replies, which we were quite happy with. Again, if people are interested, I can send you the results of the whole survey. What was particularly interesting was, were they interested in collaboration with universities on these kinds of bids? Generally, yeah, there was quite positive you can see there, particularly if there were other companies involved. It was quite a desire for networking. A lot of these are very small companies, micro businesses, small, both not really medium sized. And I also sneaked in some kind of CPD type leading questions. Would you be interested in training events? Sort of updating skills through WSA, didn't mention it directly, or us facilitating networking events and so on.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Seth.